Hello, world. Hey, what's going on? Been a few days since I had any topics, but actually today, just taking a break over the weekend. I was thinking about some things, and something I think is very important jumped out to me, and I'm gonna kind of share this with the world. So we're gonna focus on interpersonal relationships. I'll show how that applies and how those theory and how the theory that I'm going to kind of discuss is also important for organizations, but we're going to focus on the interpersonal aspect of it right now. So let's start with this. Whenever you have a relationship, right, and then this is another place where the humanities meets science. So whenever you say relationship, what you're really talking about is actually phenomena, right? It's a aspect of phenomenology where one object in an environment impacts in some way another. So with two people, it really is about there are two individuals, and now you get into existence and what it means to be, and then really what it means to be one, to constitute a whole. And so separately, they are two whole individuals. These two individuals, through many different aspects of life, can influence or change the environment in a way that impacts the other one. So why is that kind of important? So communication is key. And verbal communication for a very long time was the most important thing. So being able to speak and convey your thoughts and how you wanted to shape another person's thoughts by being able to speak words was very important. What's difficult about that is different people have different starting points for how they already view the environment or what they already believe to be true and what they already understand. And so if you're not using the same terminology with the same definitions and with the same beginning viewpoint of the world, the potential for miscommunication increases exponentially, right? For every portion of that that's not in line. And so where we see that a lot is, if you think about a romantic relationship. And so as you move from just knowing someone to a point where you're moving through dating phase in a relationship, monogamous relationship, and now moving into marriage, well, the expectations for synchronization increase, but what people often fail to do or really don't consider that they may not be willing to do is they never really actually reframe how they are viewing the world and what the purpose of this relationship is. And they never go back to synchronize that. And so you kind of go through life where now you have a relationship with another human being, but you're really intended to act almost as a unit, an organization, right? A unit to move towards a common purpose. And so now, because we don't actively think about those things, we miscommunicate, and that tends to be one of the most difficult types of relationships to have, right? And so that's why we're focusing on the interpersonal, because now, now you really get into is what are we actually coming together for and driving towards. And back in the day, it used to be like, hey, I just want to build a family, my name, right? I want to have kids, I have my last name, and build towards something that stands. So I have someone to give what I have to. And so really, as people become more independent and all that, and all that jazz, and, now we focus more on our workplace and education, without that focus on what the marriage is supposed to do, which I believe really comes from a realization that what we think we want out of it is actually easier, and we may not even need the marriage. Like as a society, we may not need it, right, to do what we want it to do. So, it just strains that relationship because the terms are not the same, the activities are not synchronized. And so how this translates up, if you think about an organization, organizations are systems, right? Either a super system, you think about a conglomerate, and then there are subsystems and components of those subsystems, and you can break it out however you want to separate and organize, which is why it's called an organization. you can break that out. But now as an organization, each portion of that organization is intended to communicate something to another portion, right? To achieve a common purpose. So the same way, you go home to your husband or your wife, and you feel like the communication is not happening, we're not really moving towards what I thought we were moving towards. I thought we were, saving up to buy this house. This person thought we were getting a new car, or that's what they say they want, right? You have to be able to define what the purpose is to set the terms for what needs to be communicated, right? And those interpersonal relationships mirror directly what organizational relationships look like. That's the key. There's so much in this world that's connected that we don't view. And that's what I intend to do. Help people view things from a different lens and apply what we learn from personal relationships, organizational relationships to the other, right? So that we can actually make progress as a society. That's what it's ultimately about. And I think what I'll do next time, and maybe I'll kind of rehash some of this in a later video, is maybe I'll show some graphics. I don't know if I'll use a whiteboard or if I'll do like a slide or something, but just to kind of show, because objectives really become important in the way we think of objectives in an organizational perspective, whether it be work, whether it's a profit or for-profit or non-profit organization. We typically have a criteria for how we define our objectives. But then when you look at a marriage or a friendship, even a friendship, right, or even your relationship with your mom or your dad, you don't really set any objectives, right? So these things are important to think about. And so, hey, if you think it's interesting, I'll get into more detail. Like, share, subscribe. But remember, share this with not only people who are interested in organizations, business, leadership, but also people who are thinking about how they conduct, their daily life and how relationships apply to them. Because it's important, and not enough of us are talking about it. So we're not on common terms, right, as a society. Let me know what you think, all right? Talk to you.